It's time for another episode of Skip or Buy, Here Is Why, and today we're having a look at Avowed. I believe that this game has been on many people's radar, especially if you're an RPG fan. But let's be real, there are some doubts about this game. A lot of people have said that the world of Avowed feels kind of bland. So, is that really true? Well, stick around and you'll find out. And we're gonna break down the game to see if this game is a buy or a skip. And hey, please let me know in the comments what you think about all this. And the first thing I like to talk about is the world design. And for me, it's sort of a mixed bag. I've spent time exploring the living lands in Avowed, and the first thing that hits you is the world design. And credit where credit's due. Obsidian is known for rich story building, and Avowed is no exception. As we have come to expect from them, they've built a world with a deep history, lots of cultures and loads of factions, so all that good stuff. The place feels lived in, with its own rules and conflicts. However, regretfully, the visuals don't always pop. I feel that the environments feel generic. It's a bit like we've seen it before in other fantasy games and in other Obsidian games for that matter. To be honest, it reminded me a lot of Outer World. The way the world looks and the way the visuals are represented, it really brings me back to that game. Of course, with a more fantasy-like twist. And by all means, it's not bad, but it lacks that visual punch that makes you go wow. So I feel the lore is really rich in this game, but the visual execution isn't its strongest point. So let's move on to the story itself. Obsidian usually shines here, and in Avowed they deliver a solid, sprawling story. Here we have the usual main plots, plenty of side quests and choices that really impact the world you live in and you walk around in. For me, the pacing is really good. It keeps things moving, and there are definitely moments that pull you in. But on the other hand, it's nothing outstanding or special, because the main story really feels quite predictable. It hits those familiar beats, and it doesn't take as many risks as you'd hope from a game like this. I don't know, I guess from games from Obsidian you always expect something special story-wise, but in this case the narrative isn't groundbreaking at all. There were loads of characters to talk to and to engage with. And although most companions and characters are good, most of them won't make a lasting impression. They have their own backstories and motivations, and Obsidian's writing and dialogue is sharp.
Is it there? Over here! Help! I'm locked in! About time. Stay back. I'm not catching whatever's on your head.
Easy, he's so godlike.
You mean a god gave you that face? Touched your soul and everything?
That's right.
Never seen one of your kind before. I always heard folks say you were blessed. Looks more like a curse to me.
So we get loads of decent banter and character moments. However, although they are decent enough, unfortunately the characters aren't as memorable or developed as in Obsidian's other games. So if you're in it for the rich, clever and usually funny conversations, then this game might disappoint. Alright, now it's time to talk about the combat. Avowed's combat system is functional. It works. You've got different combat styles, weapon types and skill trees. While I was fighting, I found there's lots of stuff to mix up. And man, it's fun. It's so satisfying to take down enemies and plunge yourself into danger. You have your arsenal of melee weapons, ranged, and also lots of magical spells to hit the enemy hard. For me, the fighting feels a lot like Skyrim, especially in the first person mode. You get up close and personal, and often you lose sight of what is going on. I really love the chaos and rawness this type of fighting brought with it. But hearing myself say all this, I have to admit that it's lacking innovation. The fighting is a bit repetitive, and come to think of it, it doesn't really bring much new to the table. But even so, it's really exciting. It's not the most polished or fluid system out there, and you might even say it's a bit clunky. and it's less engaging than some other games I played in this genre. But in conclusion, I feel it gets the job done. But on the other hand, this might not be the reason you'll jump on this game. And finally, this being an RPG, let's talk about the elements and choices this game has to offer. As you would expect from an RPG, you get character customization, skill progression, and dialogue choices. And the choices you make can shape conversations, and it does have an impact on the story itself. So all that sounds how it should be, and it sounds really good, but I feel that the choices you can make aren't that significant when it comes to the storyline. Sure, you can give some direction to the main story, but I would have hoped for a bit more. And I can imagine that real RPG diehards are a bit disappointed with the branching of the narrative because it really lacks depth. Now that we've taken a look at different elements of the game, it's time to break it down. First off, here are my reasons why you would want to skip Avowed. The world doesn't wow. If you're looking for a visually stunning world, Avowed might leave you wanting for more. And then we have the story, which to me feels familiar. And if you crave unpredictable narratives, Avowed's main story might feel a bit too safe. And then there are the characters. I think they could have been more memorable. If you play RPGs for companions that become like old friends, then Avowed's cast might not stick with you. And if you're searching for an RPG that pushes boundaries, Avowed might feel like a copy and paste of other games, as it lacks true innovation. But the game has plenty of good stuff to offer, so let's talk about reasons why you might want to buy this game. There is the deep lore and world building. If you love rich backstories, Avowed delivers a solid foundation. And if you enjoy classic RPG mechanics, then Avowed offers a familiar experience. The gameplay is very solid. And opposed to some other games, the side quests are quite engaging. So if you love side content, then Avowed will offer loads of content. And then there is the writing prowess of Obsidian. Although it's not as good as in other Obsidian games, it's still pretty well written. I feel if you're into this type of dialogue, as we know from the Outer Worlds and Fallout, then this game will work for you. And finally, there's the combat. Although it's not really spectacular, it's still decent enough. So if you're just looking for an RPG that offers plenty of combat, then this game provides a worthwhile experience. So, having taken a look at all the pros and cons this game has, we can now take a look if the game is really as uninspired and as underwhelming as many review sites have stated. I feel that uninspired might be a bit harsh for this game. I really feel that the lore and RPG mechanics still make this game a solid experience. So, what do you think about this game? Have you played it? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this review, please consider subscribing to my channel for more gaming content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.